You guys, so the game between Barcelona and Getafe has just ended 1-1. Barcelona have failed to pick up all 3 points against Getafe in the Coliseum, effectively squandering a glorious opportunity presented to them by Atletico Madrid, who dropped points against Leganes earlier today, and we need to talk about it. When we saw the lineup from Getafe this afternoon, and we saw that they were starting up essentially with a 5 in back, 4 in midfield, and 1 low striker up top, we knew that this was going to be peak Harambol. But what we wanted to see was the same level of Barcelona, who were able to put 5 past Real Betis and 5 past Real Madrid earlier in the week, show up this game. And for the first maybe 10-20 minutes, they did look very much in charge. Kunde had his scoring shoots on, as he did earlier this week. He got Barcelona the goal after a well-walked cross by a well-walked pass, I should say rather, by Pedri. Found him in the midst of things. His initial effort was saved by the Getafe goalkeeper, but essentially the goalkeeper spills it, and then he's able to take a second hack at it, and it goes into the net. From that moment onward, we knew that Barcelona were in the driving seat. Kunde was essentially playing as a winger. Balde was having one of the best games of his life, but it was a very fragile lead. One goal up against a team that likes to defend is really not the best, because what that meant was Barcelona were going to press up, and Getafe were going to wait for their chances to counter attack. And if that opportunity came and they were able to score, we knew that they were going to pack the bus for days. Getafe will eventually get the chance to score, and initially it was similar to what happened on the other end of the field. A cross comes in. Iñaki Peña does a very good deal of saving the initial effort, but then spills it, and of course the player is there to clean it up for the goal. And essentially from that moment, Getafe were like, we're not here with you guys to do whatever this is. We came here to defend, and defend is what we do. So they packed the bus, and it was a really frustrating rest of the game for Barcelona. I will say this: the players, they did their big one. I mean, they tried their best. They threw everything they could at Getafe. They threw the kitchen sink, they threw the fuck, they threw the plates, they threw everything. But Getafe's defense stood 10 toes deep to repel everything that Barcelona threw at them. In terms of players and performances, this was not really the best performance that we've seen from Barcelona players. For example, in this game, this is another game where Robert Lewandowski did not show up. Granted that he was being, iced out of the game by Getafe, but I kept on noticing that his first touches were not really the best. In the moments when he was even able to find like a moment, it just wasn't there. And I wondered why it took Hansi Flick so long to leave him in the game. I thought he should have been substituted around the 60th minutes, to be fair. Lamine Yamal didn't have the bestest of game, but it's so funny to me that even when Barcelona are playing foolishly and Lamine Yamal doesn't play the bestest, he still looked like the best Barcelona player, or the most dangerous Barcelona player. It's just what it is. But I would say his decision making in this game could have been better. Pedri is my favorite. Everyone knows this. I love Pedri. This is a player that, he's just magnificent. The way he works, the way he plays the ball, the way he carries the ball, the way he's able to find passes in unreal spaces is amazing. And for the second game in a row, Barcelona failed to reward his brilliance. And honestly, if I were him, I'd be frustrated. Rafinha, he could have done better. There's about 2 chances that I thought Rafinha should have done better for in this game. So I didn't really like the performance. It could have been better. But then again, we have to constantly remind ourselves that this Getafe team, a defensive team, they have they play Harambol. If you remember the game that they played in the Copa del Rey in midweek against the 4th division team, they essentially packed the bus. Like, you can imagine you are a Premier Division side versus a 4th division side, and you're having 16% possession because you don't want to come out and play, and you're afraid of your opponent. So this is kind of what they like to do. So no surprises there. All in all, as a Barcelona fan, I'm quite disappointed. because Barcelona didn't take advantage of this opportunity. Had they won, they would have been 3 points behind of Atletico Madrid, which would have been fantastic and put them right in the midst of things to be able to compete for the championship. But now, because they've dropped points and, you know, only managed to take one point out of the Coliseum, it's a little bit more dicey at this point. Real Madrid have a fantastic opportunity now to go top of the league tomorrow when they play their match. So we have to look and see how this weekend eventually turns out. But from a Barcelona point of view, not the best game. Could have been better. You know, they needed to take all 3 points. They didn't do that. And I'm quite disappointed on this front. But oh well, on to the next. Bye, guys.